Welcome to RTN Member Voices. I'm Robert Firpo Cappiello, Editor-in-Chief at Hospitality Technology and the Restaurant Technology Network. My guest is David Johnson from Comcast Business. David, welcome back to RTN Member Voices. I'm so psyched to talk to you. I want to give you a minute to introduce yourself to our Hospitality Technology and Restaurant Technology Network audiences.
Hey, Robert, thanks for having me back. It's always good to sit down and have a little conversation, especially here on a Friday afternoon on Halloween. So looking forward to it. So yes, as Robert mentioned, my name is David Johnson. I'm the Senior Director of Restaurant Technology Sales at Comcast Business. It's a role that I love and cherish because I get a chance to talk to restaurant owners, understand their experiences within the restaurant space. I've been in technology sales pretty much 20 years plus. Family of two kids, one who's in the music industry, which I always love to promote, and then my daughter has a dual major in psychology and communications, and then my lovely wife in the pharmaceutical era, kind of saving lives. So I think that's more important than anything.
Nice. I love that background. That's great. And I not only enjoy speaking with you like we do here on camera, but I've enjoyed your sessions at other conferences too, National Retail Federation, for example. So looking forward to this conversation. You mentioned when you talk to restaurant operators, and I kind of wanted to dig into that a little bit more. When you reconnect with the restaurant operator or meet one for the first time, what do you most want them to know about Comcast Business at this moment?
Well, obviously, our core competency and our core business is understanding the network, manage Wi-Fi, business continuity in terms of, backup, SD-WAN, how we actually support the network. I mean, at the end of the day, we manage and support enterprise networks for multi-enterprise locations, and that's the restaurant space falls right in the middle of that. But I want them to understand that that's our basic core competency. But I also like to dive in a little bit deeper because Comcast is more than just connectivity. We've got our NBC offering where we have our own theme parks and we have our own restaurants. That's almost like an incubator of technology and some of the things that we like to promote. And at the end of the day, it's that Comcast ecosystem that I think that is the true value to the customer, understanding the dining experience, understanding some of the applications, whether it's point of sale, whether it's from an IoT perspective, where we look at some of the restaurants and how they're managed and secured. And I think that's the key differentiator. And then also how we manage and support the franchisee market, because there's a corporate entity in terms of these restaurants, but there's also a franchisee entity. And we've got a dedicated focus and team that will handheld all those franchisees as they look at technology. Because at the end of the day, their focus is whether it's building the best-in-class hamburger, the best-in-class chicken sandwich, French fries, coffee. We want to take that burden off of them and make sure that that network is there for them to service their customers.
Yeah, that relationship is so important, and I love that focus, that area of focus. And speaking of focus, I'm curious, like as you're speaking, I'm thinking, like I would love to know what you're like most excited about right now in terms of industry opportunities and challenges that our industry is facing. What do you feel you're most focused on right now?
Well, challenges are always going to be there. I mean, you're looking at whether it's your pricing increases, whether it's tariffs, supporting goods, and so forth. The labor force is definitely probably a big, point of contention right now with, trying to keep individuals there, employed in the restaurant or so forth. So that's definitely a challenge. And I think what we try to do at Comcast, like we do a lot of community impact work that I don't think people are involved in. Like we're involved in various organizations where we support restaurant owners. There's one in particular called Given Kitchen where, it's a Comcast sponsored partnership that we have that helps restaurant employees who fall on bad times. So maybe it's they're laid off because they're hurt, or maybe they have an issue with their mortgage, maybe they've got a life-threatening event within their family and they need support, that's what Giving Kitchen is there for. So Comcast likes to try to support organizations like that. Now, what I would also want to tell outside of the community impact world is that, restaurant owners should not be afraid to embrace technology, because you want to look at the AI solutions. You want to look at, the digital display units, kitchen display units, all those things that are going to make you do things better, faster, and more efficient, and also provide you with more revenue. But you have to have that back of the house digital, enterprise solution intact, secure, mobile, and resilient. That's what you need to really work on with respect to that.
Mm-hmm. I love that, a resilient digital backbone for supporting all the add-ons that are in place or coming. So and with that in mind, as we look toward the year ahead, I'd be curious to know what I basically want to give you a opportunity to make a closing statement to the restaurant operators who are listening, like thoughts about the year ahead. You mentioned AI, you mentioned kitchen display. There's so much that restaurant operators are juggling. What are your closing thoughts for them?
I guess from a closing thought, what I would like restaurant owners to understand is it's all about the experience. It's all about that customer experience, that dining experience. How is that experience within the drive-through? How is that experience inside? And I think your loyalty brands will show through when you're concentrating on the customer experience. What brings that individual back to your restaurant? Is it the speed of service? Obviously, if it's the quality of the food, maybe it's just the individual that waited on them at that point. Or, maybe it's that dining individual that wants to come in quick, fast, and in a hurry and go up to your kiosk to order their meal and be on their way. You've got to be nimble and flexible to have all those solutions in play. But as I mentioned, the backbone needs to be in place. The network transformation needs to be in place for you to overlay some of those applications. So I would say to all restaurant owners and brands, it's time now to really sit back and look at how you can enhance that dining experience for your customers, because repeat business is what we all look at, and we want to come back for repeat business. My wife and I have some of our favorite restaurants that we go out to, and we love these brands, and many of those brands are under the Comcast umbrella that we support. But we go to these brands because of how they treat us, because how they welcome us to come back. And then obviously from a technology perspective, we can go in these brands and, we like to sit back and say that we go out just to have fun, but sometimes we're either, looking at our emails and we need connectivity. We need to have that Wi-Fi connectivity. We need to have access, but so your brands have to have that ability to have their patrons access, outside of what's going on there. What I'd also say is I'd like to start seeing some of the brands look at some of the theme-oriented type experiences, because I think people want to go and dine at locations where it's a memorable experience that they can go back and they can tell their friends and so forth. Here's what I experienced at this restaurant. Whatever theme that may be. So sometimes kind of getting out of our comfort zone to doing something a little bit, maybe unusual, just to make that customer's day.
Mm-hmm. Nice. David Johnson from Comcast Business. I always learn something when I speak with you. I really appreciate your time, and I know you've educated and inspired our Restaurant Technology Network audience as well.
Hey, Robert, as always, it's a pleasure. Love doing what I do. Love speaking with people, and looking forward to the next time we get together or come across each other at a trade show. Always love the conversation.